Well, hello. It's good to be on here with another Jacob's Porch interview of an alumni or a former student or current student. And today we get to have with us the inimitable Elizabeth Gilbert, recent graduate of The Ohio State University, who has been a student at the Porch since even before her freshman year. I have wonderful memories of her showing up the summer before her freshman year, knocking on the door over the summer and saying, "Hi, I'm Elizabeth. I want to meet you. I want to be part of this." And ever since that day, she's been just a wonderful member and leader of our community. And we are glad to see you, Elizabeth. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Grant.
Well, why don't you begin just by sharing what you have been up to, catch us up a little bit on where you have been since quarantine and graduation.
Yeah, so I graduated in December, and the first couple months I got to spend with my family. Had a little bit of time before going to Germany, so have been in Germany since the end of February, and got my stay a little bit extended by waiting out the Corona timeline. Didn't have to go back, so I've been really grateful and fortunate to spend time here. I'm living with a German pastor and his family in the parsonage right next to a Lutheran church. So without Corona, I would have been a lot more involved in the church life when there would have been in-person events, but still I've been able to, in smaller groups and meeting people and seeing new cities and things like that, have a really cool experience in Germany, which I'm really, really blessed to have had. And I'm going home on Tuesday. So that's as long as I can stay here in Germany. And then, yeah, so that's been, in short, what I've been up to. That's been a really cool post-grad immediate time to have in between.
Yeah, what a wonderful opportunity to be able to have after graduation. And, maybe walk us through, you described a few things there, but walk us through, what part of Germany, maybe what city you've been in, and what your daily life was planned to potentially look like without COVID-19. And then, some things that you have been up to and been able to do in light of the pandemic.
Yeah. So I'm in Nordstemmen, which is a small town close to Hanover. It's in north central Germany. So basically there's mountains and hills in 3 directions, and then north is all flat. So it's a really, really pretty part of Germany, very different from the Midwest. I'm very easily impressed by the German architecture and landscape. So every new place we go, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so different. And it's like, always very, very pretty and impressive to me and really fun. So with that, some of the things that I have been able to do are go to new cities, and just basically what's open are like ice cream dealers, and you can always see the sights from the outside for free just walking around. So that's been one of the things I've been able to do a lot with the family. The family here is the mom and the dad and 4 girls from my little brother's age and down. So it's like being with my family, just a little bit younger. And I remember being a teenage girl, so I'm right back there. Daily life would have been discovered in the beginning weeks, but was kind of cut short, that process of seeing what programs the church had, meeting people, things like that, by all of the shutdowns. So really didn't get the end of that discovery of how I best fit in here. So that was kind of challenging. With online services, I wasn't already part of the tech team. The things that I could have done with like altar care were not available. But as we've been able to have church in person with masks or outside with social distance and singing outside, I've been able to do that altar care with the mom of the family does mainly that responsibility. So I'm jumping on with her, and then just random things around. So there's really not a daily schedule. It's definitely changed as the girls have go back to school. We're in school in the very, very beginning normally, things like that. So yeah, definitely a lot of different things here.
quite different than kind of a tourist visit to Germany. You're being able to basically just do life with a family and figure
Yes,
out what
and that's
that
what I
looks
wanted.
like. Yeah, what a
Yeah.
wonderful opportunity. And you mentioned you're coming back on Tuesday, and people might be curious, what is next for you?
Yeah. So the immediate next is quarantine, but I have my job starting on September 1st. So between now and then, when I get back, I get to transition back, staying with my family, get to see my brothers and the family that I'm glad was all together safe, but then finally get to eventually, hug them, see them in person before moving mid-corona. Yeah, and just moved to Cincinnati. So I'll be at a startup, data science startup in Cincinnati. I'm very excited for that.
So you'll be moving to presumably Cincinnati somewhere to start your job
Downtown.
September 1st in data analytics. And anybody who's been around Jacob's Porch knows that Elizabeth is the monarch of all things data science. And so I am really excited for your future and how you will engage that field, because you've already done so much with it during your time here at Ohio State as a leader on campus. Well, and one thing I ask our alumni and our students to share is one maybe memory or some stories of your time at Jacob's Porch that were meaningful to you and that you carry with you.
Yeah. I was thinking about this, and there's so many individual memories and so many good moments. So it's a little bit hard to pick one because of that. But I think when I think about my whole time, one of the things that stands out is the very beginning, because of the way that I was embraced when I came to Jacob's Porch. And not just through like one person, getting to meet a lot of different people and create deep, meaningful relationships and have challenging conversations and just live intentionally in community together and be really, just that experience was, people like, I remember Maya asking me if I wanted, the resident at the time asking me if I wanted to host, and it was like my first month, and I was like, whoa, you want me to like
Host in worship?
Invite people here? Like, I'm new, what do you mean? And like, when I got my cello on campus at the end of that semester, Yuki like really encouraging me, the music director, to go for it, to play, to be confident, to try new things, giving me pointers as a fellow cellist. My very first Sunday sitting next to Anne and Andy on the blue couch right up front, having one-on-ones and all the people that eventually I would live with, stand in weddings next to, do life with, the people that I would meet after then. I think the memory of what it felt like and what it looked like to be embraced is something that I remember, because I want to be that for other people. I never want there to be someone who shows up to a space that I'm also in and isn't embraced and doesn't have the chance to connect and doesn't get to be a part of community. I think that not welcome but embrace idea is something that is so different, that I hadn't really experienced in many spaces that I've been in, especially church spaces. So I think that's, as a whole, all those people and experiences and connections make up this beginning that was like very impactful and has definitely left a lasting impression on how I understand community, how I understand building community, how the connections we make and how they allow us to have conversations and connection with each other. That all starts with how we embrace each other, how we are with each other. So that's it.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And that's definitely a large part of my memories of time with you, is how important community was to you, and you playing cello in the band. Also how important prayer was to you, and to always remain centered on prayer as a community. And you were someone who always wanted to bring more of the kind of liturgy of the church into our worship experience. That almost every week, we were doing something different in worship, and I always appreciated your voice of how can we center this in the liturgy and get some more of those elements in there. And you were a natural builder of community we say at Jacob's Porch, after experiencing, seniors come to our ministry and they're like, I wish I had known about this before. And you were somebody that I saw that had a passion. Like, we need to make sure everybody knows that there is a place for them here if they want to engage in it, that the Ohio State University experience can be lonely for many and can be isolating. It's such a big place, and it's important to find a niche. I mean, everybody is part of 2 or 3 student orgs, and that can help, but that a church community is a place where you can really go deeper in those relationships. And that's something that I saw you exemplify beautifully over your 4 years. And so you will certainly be missed here, but it's been good to hear, what you've been up to and where you're going. Do you have a specific memory that stands out, like a funny moment or something that you'd want to share?
Something funny.
Doesn't have to be the ultimate memory of all time, but just something right now that, oh, I remember that. That was ridiculous, or that was meaningful.
I don't know if I have anything really funny. I think it's hard to pull something like that. I think the thing that I'm thinking about the most right now is maybe, obviously when you're in transition, I'm in quite a bit of transition right now. Obviously my transition wasn't a very quick graduate and hit the ground running with work. So I've been really blessed to have that opportunity, but it's also gives you a lot of time to think back, where were my beginnings? What did this last section of my life look like? And, what am I taking with me and things like that? What have I learned? How was the beginning? How will my next beginning be? So one of the things from the very, very beginning, obviously something that's been impactful is the friendships that I made. And one of them is the friendship with Anne that I have. And the very first, show up to the porch on Sunday, sat on the blue couch with her and Andy, and prayer altar, finished. She looked at me and was like, do you want to have a one-on-one this week? And I was like, absolutely. And that was my first one-on-one. And you can see in the background, I took a couple of things from home with me to Germany, and this big white piece of paper right there is a birthday card that she gave me my first year of college. And she colored in a mandala and really nice, and wrote something underneath. And one of the things she wrote was, I'm looking forward to years of friendship to come. And that was after a month of knowing each other. And that just, her friendship with me means a lot. And that that beginning, that is one of the things that Not Welcome But Embrace means to me, looks like to me, one of the reminders of how I was embraced. Her and so many other people, the way that other leaders, people that I lived with, people that, obviously had formal positions that I mentioned before. But I'm just really grateful for her and that relationship. And that very beginning is always something I look back, I'm like, wow, that was one of the first people I met. I was the first friend I made at college, and was so fast. I found my place, found people I was comfortable with, but this first friendship, I was like, that lasted. That's we're in totally different places. I'm in Germany right now, it's
always amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that, and your friendship with Anne is so beautiful. And it's always amazing to me how quickly friendships can develop at Jacob's Porch. And you mentioned, one of the Jacob's Porch rules of, not welcome, but embrace. It's not that just, oh, you can come in and be a part of this and observe. It's no, you can come in and everybody gets to play. It's you're embraced for who you are, and that everybody has something to contribute to our worship life, to our community life, to our prayer life, and that those friendships can form deeply. And maybe just to finish on, even that idea of not welcome but embrace, I've been thinking about that here lately in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, and how we as kind of majority culture white people are dealing with the inherent racism in our system and within ourselves, and what that feels like, what we think about that. And I'm curious if you could just share your experience as you consider the racism in our system, and within you, within me, how during your time at Ohio State, where there's some moments either in class or Jacob's Porch that helped illuminate some of that in positive or negative ways, and what it's been like for you in Germany, kind of being apart from all the protests that are going on here. I know there's been some of that in Germany as well, but now as you're preparing to enter back in, it's very different than when you left. What are your thoughts on that, Elizabeth?
Yeah, so First of all, in Germany, it's been interesting. I'm obviously in a little bit of a smaller city, so I'm not like close enough in proximity to be able to be a part of the protests, that are going on in the really just the big cities in each, I think, or many European countries. But seeing that this is something that's so important. So like the world watches America. People that don't even belong to the country are like, this is so bad. This is so obvious that, we're mad about it too, and are taking the time to think about and call out the racism in their systems in their country and have conversations about it too. So it's been definitely interesting to see that happen on a world level, not just a country level, but also have conversations with the family here. Yeah, seeing the discomfort of the younger children. We were talking about the topics and we were, talking about the details as it's happening and things were being brought to light, and hearing the reactions of, why are people protesting here? That doesn't, at first glance, it didn't seem to make sense for some of the kids. Hearing some reactions to, the calling out of racism in the German police, I think it can be, for me, challenging sometimes to, obviously with such a big topic like systemic racism, to feel like the answers and know the right thing to say or the perfect thing to say is very, very challenging. I think so much education can get you to a point, or enough education can get you to a point of comfort with talking about it and with using your voice. But obviously it's important to engage in hard conversations first. But sometimes for me, one of the things is the language barrier. I'm like, did I understand what you said about police and calling it racism incorrectly? For me to, to respond, or, things like that. That's a challenge. And then also, just that the comfort with, knowing that I don't know everything, I don't have all the answers, and, I can't correct you by saying, well, actually, this is the best thing to do. But the fact that not every community, not every my family relationship group has the humility and vulnerability and dignity already built and inherent in the community or group, that makes it more accessible and easier to have really challenging conversations, can be scary to make that jump. So between the language and the not always consistent Jacob's porch level comfort with discussion, that's something that I've definitely seen and done my best in. But I'm also really looking forward to being back in the US with English language content, where I can watching my films in English instead of German, so that I can get all the content out of the amazing films that I've heard recommended so many times, and books that are in English and not German, so I can go back to some really awesome recommendations that I'm excited to read. I think the internet education and content, things I've been able to read linked and centered around has been great, but I'm really looking forward to very those cohesive, longer thought processes that authors and filmmakers have put together. So that's kind of what I've seen, what I'm looking forward to. One thing you mentioned in my time at Ohio State, honestly, I happened to read, by recommendation of Lauren Payne, The Hate U Give in January and February, which was a book that looked at a police shooting of a Black person. I think it was fictitious, but definitely based on real life and what it looks like afterwards. The best friend that was with him and what she had to go through, what she went through. And I just read it because it was recommended. I wasn't searching to find education on this topic or to find more perspectives, but I'm really glad that I read that, and especially with this call to action attention that the topic is able to have with all the discussions and all of the volume we have here, the volume of voices and of information. But I'm excited to go forward and be more intentional about what books I choose and what I put into my queues of movies and books and other media that I'm able to use to get more perspectives, conversations that I'm able to have because of engaging in the media with other people, having discussions around that. So yeah, I think in my time at Ohio State, I didn't intentionally do a lot of that. I wasn't looking for the resources. I wasn't trying to widen my perspective. I knew it was obviously a problem, but it was something that I didn't listen to every time that, there was another name, there was another story. One of the things that I remember most from my time at Ohio State, though, was at the very beginning, you had the cross of names, the like name tags of people, Black people that were victims of police brutality, that were murdered by police, and that was like kind of a constant. Like, it didn't really change. I think it was something that was more active right before it was there, that cross, that creation of it. But I remember that showed me that was something important to the community, to Jacob's Porch. There was something that I was like, and I'd never seen a cross of names, Black people have been killed by the police. That wasn't something that had been present in any other worship or church groups or settings that I've been in. So as quiet or as my thoughts were on the topic, as little as I conversed and engaged about it, I think that was something that was loud in my memory of my time at Ohio State. So that's one thing I have, and I'm definitely happy to move forward, looking forward to more content, more thoughts.
Right. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Elizabeth. And you're right. I remember it was right after the Mother Emanuel 9 shooting, where we had done various confessions of white supremacy and worship, and then we had that cross with the names of like Emmett Till and MLK and on and on and on, and the names of the 9 at Mother Emanuel. And it's one of those things, like, that I think I regret too, that it was up for a year or two, and then it was, oh, let's redesign, and that kind of went off to the side. And I just think that that's so emblematic of what I do a lot is, well, it's pressing for a moment, but then let's forget about racism and talk about other things. And I think we just need that constant reminder, so it doesn't become just a thing we do for a season. It's a lifelong journey of repentance. And you mentioned, and this is what, talking to some of our white students, the rule of our values of humility, vulnerability, and dignity that frames most of the conversation we have, has, I think, been a helpful resource where they consider, how can I enter into this with humility, being teachable? And how can I be vulnerable? There's a pit in my stomach that I just can't get rid of. Well, maybe you shouldn't just get rid of it. You need to sit with that pain and let that guide you. And then dignity, that we're ascribing worth, value, and dignity to everyone with whom we come in contact. It's not everything, humility, vulnerability, and dignity, but it's sometimes a good posture in which we engage. So anyways, Elizabeth, it's been so good to see you and to hear your voice. We miss you and we love you here at Jacob's Porch, and know that you are welcome anytime to come up from Cincinnati for a visit.
Thank you very much. All my love from Germany to you guys too.
All right, thanks. We'll take care, Elizabeth.
Okay, bye.